This is sexist. Why post? What is happening to my internet?
Hello, welcome to episode 47 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's John Denton. With me, as always, is Chet Roivas.
Hello.
So you know the deal by now. 2 top 10 lists going from 10 to 1. 10 being the game we played the least this week, 1 being the game we played the most. So let's kick it off with Chet's number 10.
Okay, my number 10 is Temple Run 2 on iOS, on the iPhone. I assume you've played this?
Yes, yeah, it's actually higher up in my list.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a great deal to say about it, except it's quite funny that we were talking last week or a few weeks ago about whether iOS games, whether there was the brands persevered, and apparently they do, because this has been downloaded like 600 billion times.
Yeah,
it's good. It's nice. It aggressively comes after money more so than the first one did. But my first reaction was, I've played this game already.
Yeah, I never actually played Temple Run.
Oh.
But I played a fair bit of Temple Run 2 now. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. I guess we could talk about it later. Talk about it now. I don't think it's as good as that Pitfall game, which I know was a Temple Run rip-off.
Yeah, I agree.
But that looked nicer and played a bit smoother. I had a lot of trouble with it miscalculating my inputs. It was me being a bit sketchy at the game. But the pop-in is quite severe in Temple Run 2, whereas there's no pop-in in Pitfall, and the cel-shaded look is nicer in that as well. So, yeah, I mean, nothing I say is going to make any dent in that game. But, yeah, it's still fun. I mean, I still played it quite a lot. But, yeah, I thought Pitfall was probably better.
I agree with you. I mean, the only thing to say, I mean, I might be misremembering, but I don't recall Temple Run, the first one, being as aggressively sort of give us money right now.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. I've heard it's not like that.
I don't think I played the first Temple Run enough to be able to judge. But yeah, I think it's a little bit too aggressive. But yeah, it's fun. It's fine. It's just that my reaction immediately was, I've already played this game. So
yeah, same.
Yeah, there you go.
My number 10 is another free iOS game. It's called Flick Shoot. I was just searching for one more game to add to my list just before we started recording, so checked out the free app list, and that was on there. It's basically the exact same game as Flick Kick Football, but with a proper goalkeeper, not one that's made out of card. It's not as good as that game. It's a bit sketchy, but you're just flicking the ball into the goal. There's not a lot to say. I mean, for free, it's fine. It sort of fires adverts at you every now and again, but it's not really chasing you for money. I'll probably never put it on again, but the 5 or 8 minutes that I played it for while waiting for this to start was worth the no pennies I paid for it.
Okay, but I assume there is an ads-free version you can pay for, yeah?
I think either that or there's in-app stuff, but I didn't really play it for long enough, and I'll probably delete it straight away. But it's not so shit that it doesn't serve any praise. It's fine.
Okay.
It's not as good as Flick Kick Football though. That's a good game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Okay, my number 9 is a game called Halloween Scream on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game. The cover art is a very, very nice watercolour sort of painting of a female vampire. And it's I don't know what I expected, but it's a text adventure. I know you're a fan of those.
Hell no.
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, it's not badly written. It's completely passable. The problem is that the story, it opens with a young girl being left a rickety old house in a will from an old relative she never knew. And you go there. Do you open the door? Do you go to the cemetery? You go to the cemetery. There's a dog. Do you take the bone from the dog? He bites your arm off. You're dead. Start again. That's what happened to me.
That sums it up for me. That genre.
The problem is that it sets its stall out at the beginning. It says there's no surprises here. The story you've heard a million times, but it's not badly written. It's generic. It's not a poor game. And if you like them, worth a look, I suppose, for the trial.
How do you type?
You don't. You're given button options. So
okay.
It's always like pick one of 4 options.
Okay.
So it's not really a text adventure. I suppose you'd call it what would you call it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think it still classifies as a text adventure. But yeah, if you like that genre, possibly have a look, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I cannot understand why people like that genre, but so many people do. I don't know if it's just more nostalgia from when we were very, very young, because I remember being fascinated by them when I was about maybe 7.
Yeah.
But that's just because the only other games are just like blocks. So, yeah, playing that one the other day just made me never ever want to touch one ever again.
Fair enough.
Pretty much the polar opposite of a text adventure is my number 9, Super Hexagon, which is about as pure a video game as you can get, really. I haven't played it for a while, stuck it back on. It is such a good iOS game. The guy keeps banging on about it on Twitter because he's done the Steam release, and I think it's just come out on Android and things like that. So it's always kind of fresh in my mind, and yeah, it's a very, very good game. It's I'm always amazed at how much better you get at it almost every single time you put it on. And I feel like I could get better and better and better at it as you learn the patterns and just learn to calm yourself down. That's the thing I like about it. It's an extremely hectic game. I've talked about this before. So much going on. And you have to concentrate so much, but you always do better when you just completely calm and kind of center yourself and realize that the actual path that you're moving your little arrow through those crazy shapes isn't anywhere near as complicated as it looks, and you only have to do quite small movements to go a long way and last a long time. So just kind of like a masterclass of design, and I'll always have it on my phone, I think.
Shit, I'm still waiting for the sort of because it's still discussed so frequently that I want to sort of get all that stuff out of my mind before I really go in deep. I mean, I liked what I played, but I found it too oppressive, and there was too much. I felt like there was too much pressure on me to understand it straight away.
Sure, there's nothing to understand. It's just it's a game that can be discussed and broken down, definitely, but ultimately it is as simple as it looks, but if you can enjoy the kind of Twitch gameplay, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean when you dive into something. When we've talked about it plenty, when everybody's talking about it, and it's kind of a modern thing, isn't it? With Twitter,
yeah.
This didn't really exist a few years ago. It can completely colour your understanding or appreciation of something.
Yeah. True. Well, it looks like my sort of thing, so I'm definitely it's still on my phone, and I'll look at some point.
Yeah, once you get that past that 60-second mark on the first level and you complete it effectively, you can keep going and get higher scores. That's when it all started to make sense for me, but that took a long time.
Okay, fair enough. All right, genuine. Okay, my number 8 is a game called Don't Be Nervous Talking to Girls on the Xbox 360.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
Do you know how old it is?
No. I just saw it when I was searching for that Shark Attack Deathmatch game. I noticed that was on there.
All right, because I hadn't come across it before, and I thought I discovered a gem, and I hadn't at all.
So it's shithouse.
It's difficult. I mean, what did you see the list that Microsoft published the most popular indie games of the year today of last year, I should say? Did you see the list?
No.
It's comprised of, I'd say, 50%. Clones of what's that? How's it called? Minecraft.
There's no surprise there.
I've got a list here: Castle Miner Z, Castle Miner, Total Miner, Forge, Fortress Craft, Murder Miners, Fortress Wars, Miner of Duty, Miner Forever, Block World.
That just sounds 100% Minecraft.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, Fortress Wars. Maybe they're not. I mean, there's a couple there.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they might not be. But amongst all of those titles was a game called Don't Die Dateless Dummy, which sounded interesting enough, so I was searched for that, but I came up across Don't Be Nervous Talking to Girls first. It's basically a small video comes up with this model stroke actress lady who talks to you, and the idea is to speak to her at these different locations. You pick a location on a map, like a fairground or a library or a house. I didn't check the house, so I don't know what goes on there. I don't know whether you just turn up on her doorstep. But yeah, she asks you basically have to interact with her, and there's only ever 2 options. And it was created by a nutter. An absolute nutter. I mean, if you go and speak to this woman at a park, there's 2 options. One of them is you're sitting in my goddamn seat or something along those lines. The other option is, isn't it a lovely day? If you pick, isn't it a lovely day? She goes, I've got my bear spray. I'm going to use it on you. So it's, I don't even know why I'm bothering going into detail. It's
Tactics.
It's exactly, and there's just. Yeah, there's one where you go into a library and offer to help her with you help her with maths homework or something, even though it's clearly a 30-odd-year-old woman. And And if you say, I can help you with your maths if you like, she says, get
It's
out
the
of my...
bear spray out.
No, she says, get out of my life. I don't want anything to do with it. If you say, I'm a whiz at maths, I'll sort you out. She's like, oh, yeah, all right. I don't even know. I've spoke about it too much. It's just fucking garbage. But, if you have an Xbox 360, there's a very slim chance you might sort of get some entertainment value out of it.
Oh, man. I just wish that you played as a bear. That would make the whole thing better.
Trust me, anything. But on some people might get some enjoyment out of the wackiness of how these sort of the way she reacts to certain questions. It's I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's fucking garbage.
I'm going to download it because that sounds amazing. But it's only because in my mind you play as a bear, which I know is not actually the case.
Have a look.
Yeah, I want to play that now. My number 8 is a game called Big Sky Infinity on Vita. I signed up for PlayStation Plus last week, I think, which is an awesome service. There's a bunch of free games to download for Vita. The first one's a twin-stick shooter called Big Sky Infinity. I thought that can't be bad. They're always pretty fun. Looks nice. But I couldn't play it. I couldn't hack it because the whole game is narrated and constantly, relentlessly voiced by this English guy who just sounds like either a mate of the guy who made it or the guy who made it. Basically, he sounds kind of like me, tired, doing a really, really bad job of acting about how you're in a spaceship and using like quintessentially English semi-swear words constantly.
Just do an impression.
Yeah. Go and get these Gits right now. And honestly, it's just constant, absolute constant fucking yammering from this twat. And after about 5 minutes, I was like, I cannot hack this guy anymore. So I turned it off. So the game seemed quite good, but I'm not dealing with that fucking oik.
But that sounds terrible because that's the kind of thing that makes a game feel really cheap and sort of amateurish.
It's such a low definition recording as well. I don't know if they did it deliberately because the game looks nice. It's not been made too cheaply, but it sounds like they've just done it on their fucking computer speaker, just looped over the top like a really crap YouTube commentary. I don't know why it's in there. Maybe they wanted to make a character that would be appealing to the Americans because he's kind of like eccentric Brit, but just made me want to pull my own tongue out.
Okay, that's harsh. Did you try just turning the sound down, or is the music going with it as well?
I was so insulted by the whole thing that I just turned it off completely. It helps that obviously it was free.
Does it look like... Oh, it's free. Okay, I had visions.
It's not free. It's free on PlayStation Plus.
Oh, okay, I got you. Does it look like something that should be free?
No, it looks nice.
Oh wow, okay, fucking weird.
Yeah, twin-stick shooter, and you can turn your little ship into kind of you can use it to blast through planets. Turns into like a digger type thing. It seemed like a cool game, but I thought, okay, he's talking over the tutorial and he'll shut up by the time he gets to the first level. And then I realised, no, he's going to talk the whole time and offer a commentary on what I'm doing. So that was it. I was like, no, thank you. Damn,
what a shame.
Yeah.
Damn, okay. What was it called again?
Big Sky Infinity. You Gits.
Is it exclusive?
Yeah, I think it's just a Vita game, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have no reason to look that up at all. Okay, my number 7 is another iOS game. It's called Blip, B-L-I-P. Have you heard of this?
Something tells me I have, but maybe not.
I do apologise, but this is another game that's on my phone, and I don't quite recall why. I don't remember whether someone... Because people recommend stuff to me all the time, and I see free apps, and I just download them, and then I forget where they came from. I did check earlier today, so as of today, Wednesday before the Wednesday before the podcast comes out, it is still free. And it's a good... bordering on very good, sort of basically it's a platform. It's a very simple, it's got a very nice minimalist sort of art style, and it is good looking. You move a cube around in a small series of environments, and you pick up 3 little cubes, and then those 3 unlock the exit. It reminded me of Super Meat Boy because of how fast you move around the environment, how slippery it has a very specific control style, but once you've mastered it, you can bounce around sort of avoiding obstacles, and sort of it has a very similar feel to that. And also because it gets quickly quite difficult. Not as difficult as Super Meat Boy, but it does get difficult quite quickly. It is free, so just download it. Blip. It's a very, very nice, very inventive little game.
I'll check that out. Yeah. These are new iPhone games.
Yeah, that's a very good one. The only problem with it is that you only ever use left. You can only move left and move right. The rest of it is handled by like bouncing on trampolines or sort of using physics to fly up off stuff.
Okay.
But the space on either side of the iOS screen is so small. So the amount of times I just, I tap and it wouldn't do what I need it to do. And for a game that gets quite elaborate quite quickly, it's just, I don't understand why they didn't just split the screen in half. Left-hand side of the screen is one button, right hand is the other button, rather than having these tiny little windows on either side that I kept missing. Because basically it's a very precise, basically a platforming game, and repeatedly the buttons didn't work, and that's basic. There's no bigger mistake to make with a game like that.
Do you reckon it would work better on iPad?
I don't know. It depends. Yeah, I mean, I might have a look at it on iPad. It's difficult. It would, to be honest, it would work better with a control pad, I have to say. But download it, and it's definitely worth a look. Blip, very good indeed.
Yeah, I will. I'll check that out, definitely.
Genuine.
Cool. My number 7's another PlayStation Plus effort, is Jet Set Radio on Vita, which it just looks fucking awesome. The art style, like, picked out in HD. I'd never played the proper big screen HD version of it, but on the Vita screen, which always, every time I turn the Vita on, which isn't that often, I'm always blown away by what a nice piece of kit it is. And it seems like it's going to be worth the money more so now that I've got PlayStation Plus, and there's going to be like a constant stream of games to play for free. And Jet Set Radio is awesome. I haven't played it since we were back at uni, fucking however many years ago that was, 11 years ago or something. But still really nice. You can kind of see some of the like antiquated stylings of it in terms of mechanics, but it always gives me a little bit of fear. Have I talked about this before, about the Jet Set Radio future making me kick a hole in my wall at home?
Vaguely. What was it again?
I got myself into such a state playing that game that I eventually kicked back to the menu, and I was like, okay, no, I'll continue it. And I went to new game instead of load game, and that pushed me over the edge, and I put my foot through the wall, and now that hole is still there, covered by a poster of Diego Forlan.
You did mention this.
Yeah. Putting that on gave me that same chill, because that was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. But I think I'll continue to play it because it's so nice. The tunes are great, and it doesn't look old at all. It looks completely modern. So.
I agree with you there, but didn't the controls feel quite rigid and stiff?
A little bit, but because it was free, I think, I don't know, I was just happy to have it, Yeah. Okay. And it looks so nice on that screen that if I played it for hours, maybe it would start to fuck me off. But it was just nice to go back into that world.
Yeah, it might just be a better port. I don't know. I mean, to be honest,
maybe they've had a bit more time to work on it.
Yeah, I think I'd rather play that on a handheld, to be honest, at this point. Okay, cool. My number 6 is Dead Space 3, the demo. Did you download it?
Okay, yeah, I didn't get a chance to check this out.
Okay, so everyone must have downloaded it by now. It's on Xbox and PS3. And the section of the game that features in it is exactly the same section I played last summer when I spoke about it on the podcast.
Oh, when the guy kept running ahead?
That's exactly that sequence. I played it on co-op and on single. The strange thing about it is that there's a little video at the beginning when you download the demo where this woman says, "Thanks for downloading it. Make sure you play it both times on co-op and on single player to see how it differs." And I did that, and it doesn't really differ a whole lot. The second player is sort of inserted into the existing cutscenes, which looks like a hatchet job, really. I don't know why they'd pick it up. You don't speak to each other during the action, just during the cutscenes. So the cutscenes are different because there's another guy there. And I still find it interesting, your dynamic between you and Isaac, and this other character, because this guy fucking hates you. Which at first, when you're walking along and you're not talking to each other, it feels a little bit tense. But after a while, you're like, there are situations where I might shout to him for something. I'm still as enthusiastic about it as I was then. It's not in the dark. It's not like Dead Space, but the darkness is sort of substituted with this blizzard. So as soon as the demo starts, there are a couple of really great jumps. They're not jumping out of the darkness, there's necromorphs, but they're jumping out of, it might as well be darkness. It's the same technique.
Yeah.
I like it as much as I did back then. I think it's going to be really sweet, and I did it on co-op, as I said, and it's just good. I mean, the only thing that wasn't in it that wasn't when I played it in the summer is the crafting, because there's a weapon crafting system.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and people got up in arms because there's in-app purchases now, isn't there?
Oh no, is that why they did it?
It seems like that way. You don't have to do it, but I think you can get the stuff quicker if you do in-app purchases. I can't be bothered to be angry about it. Certainly until I'll be annoyed about it when I play the game and it spoils the game. If it doesn't, then I'm not going to get angry about it beforehand.
Yeah, if they get the balance right, it's fine. I mean, the crafting actually is quite straightforward. It reminds me of you didn't play Ghost Recon Future Soldier, did you?
No, not really. No, I have played it a bit, but not much.
Yeah, I mean the crafting in that is very, very. Was there crafting in that? Am I thinking of a different game? Well, there was. You could not crafting, but the way that you could sort of modify your weapons was quite straightforward, and it's the same here. And you can also sort of build bigger med packs, and scrap metal can be used to sort of build bigger ammo pouches. It's very, very simple. But yeah, if they fuck up the balance between trying to get money out of you and fucking the game over, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm still massively enthusiastic. I think it's going to be a very visceral, a solid.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that game. I know everybody thinks that it's suddenly having this huge change of direction, but I've always kind of seen them as very action-heavy horror games. The first one, I think people misremember it slightly, is like a slow, plodding Silent Hill type adventure, but it wasn't. It was well paced, but there was more than enough moments where you're just in a room with fucking 10 monsters coming at you and you're just trying to survive and crowd control. So it's always kind of been like that for me, and I don't think they're just going to chuck all of that out the window because they just completely lost their minds. So yeah, I'm not too worried. I think I should be getting it through soon. I'm down to review it, so I'm kind of I am excited.
Yeah, I like Dead Space 1, I like Dead Space 2, and I like this one on the evidence I've seen so far, and I don't think they'll fuck it up. So yeah, it's looking good.
Sweet. More Isaac, my number 6, Binding of Isaac. Been playing it some more. Well, I've talked about it too much over the last couple of weeks, so I won't even go on about it anymore, but be excited about the Xbox Live version. It's a very, very good game.
Okay. Have you not completed it yet?
I still can't do it. If I could... There's a really complicated way to get joypad support that I couldn't get to work on my Mac. If I could play it on a pad, I'm sure I'd have finished it by now, because when it gets really tricky, you need to have good twin stick, and it's too fiddly on my keyboard and thing. But I've been very close a couple of times, and I'm sure if I had a pad, I'd be able to finish it.
Okay, cool. Okay, my number 5 is not really a game. It's an iOS app called Vid Rhythm.
Yeah.
I know you know about this. It's an app designed by Harmonix, who made obviously Rock Band and Rock Band Blitz and all that stuff. So I was amazed when I found out about it, because the official Rock Band Twitter feed retweeted Nicky Six, the guy from Motley Crue of all people, who was raving about it. He was like, Vid Rhythm, man. And I was like, wow, Harmonix have done an app, that's amazing. So I went straight onto the App Store and looked it up to download it, just like, I can't believe this has happened and I wasn't aware of it. It's like 2 years old. 2011 it came out. I had no idea. But I downloaded it, and anyway, in brief, they get you to record video and audio doing a couple of things, like a guitar noise, like wow, and a drum noise, and then they edit them all together into a music video with using the video and the audio. When I discovered it, the morning that I discovered it, me and my friend sat laughing our heads off, convinced it was the greatest app ever created. I mean, I was so in awe. I was like, I have to tell the world about this. Before the end of that day, I was just like, yeah, that was that.
Yeah.
It was draw something. It was draw something. I mean, draw something took a week or a couple of weeks to sort of get done. It's funny though, because those kind of apps like this, draw something is a game essentially, but stuff like Fat Booth, you have to exhaust it and then you discard it. It's not something that will, if someone showed you, look, I just did a Fat Booth photo, I know what that app does. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's funny how something can be so incredibly clever and amusing, and then within a few hours, but you can't not just exhaust its possibilities. You have to do that. But it's free. Vid Rhythm. It's definitely good for a few laughs, and it's Harmonix, man. You have a look.
Yeah, the videos that we made were pretty funny.
Yeah, there were a couple of amusing ones in there.
Yes, definitely. My number 5 was Temple Run 2. I think we've done it. I don't think there's anything more to add. I'm sure people out there are playing it.
Okay. My number 4 is a game called Gunman Clive on the 3DS.
Okay.
Do you know about this?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
I tweeted, because basically this is a game I hadn't heard of. Someone tweeted a story. I can't remember who it was, on Twitter, about how the version of Gunman Clive on the 3DS was massively outselling the iOS version, which apparently just never happens. And I just like the title. Gunman, great. Clive is just a funny name. It's like the other day I heard someone shout in the street, Cecil, and I'm like, when was the last time you heard Cecil? It's just funny names you don't hear anymore. But anyway, I typed Gunman Clive into YouTube, and you should do the same thing. And the advert will come up, the trailer, I should say, which I think was designed by the guy who created the game. And it's just, I tweeted it the other day. It's just the most sarcastic advert I've ever seen. It's by a guy who seems like he doesn't even want you to buy his game. And immediately, that's the first time I've seen an advert and then immediately gone and bought the game. It's a cowboy scrolling shoot 'em up. I mean, if you need a sort of comparison point, Contra's probably a good one, but you can only shoot 3 bullets at a time. Pow, pow, pow. That's the most you can do. Yeah, you can only shoot horizontally, so you have enemies who can shoot in all directions, and if they're up above you, but the game's built around it. So if you have an enemy up high who's shooting diagonally down at you, you have to run along, find the right box, jump up, and then shoot them from behind. So it's that's not irritating. And it's perfectly fine. You're jumping around, shooting guys in a Wild West setting. The art style's lovely. It looks terrific. Even the 3D looks good, although it's a port from an iOS game. The only thing about it is that it starts to go very, very peculiar after... I mean, I completed the whole thing in 46 minutes, and there are extra modes, including an extra gameplay mode where you can play through the whole thing as a duck and just avoid everything. But around halfway through, there was a sequence where I was like, that's almost exactly... Just the way that the platforms were constructed and the way some of them fell and then you had to fall in a certain place to get in. I was like, I swear to God, that's from an old Mario game. And I was like, okay, whatever, I ignored it and I persevered. And the next level was a minecart level. And when I say that it bears a resemblance to Donkey Kong, the classic minecart sequence in the first Donkey Kong Country, I was like... Has this just been cut and pasted? Just, bouncing off these small bits of track and then you go along a straight bit and do you jump up? Do you stay on the lower one? If you jump up, you get a prize. If you stay on the lower one, you get hit by a guy coming in the other direction. I was like, I swear to God, this is exactly the same as the minecart. Because I remember that so vividly because I played that game to completion about probably in excess of 10 times and I'm not kidding. Right. So I was like, has this just been cut and pasted? And then the next level is the Super Mario Land plane level, except you're holding onto a rocket. Oh. After that, the brilliant levels from the Super Mario Galaxy 1, and I think they're in 2 as well, where there's arrows on the walls. Yeah. So you jump up and then the gravity will pull you in a different direction. Yeah. That's in there as well. Oh. And there's even this one bit when you get to the end of that sequence where you jump up, it flips you around, you just have to narrowly avoid an obstacle and then it flips you like 180 degrees round and you land. I'm like, I've done that before. I don't want to take anything away from the game because it's very entertaining. And if you haven't played any of those games, you might not have these reservations. And my brain is so fucked that I might be completely misremembering, but it completely coloured my opinion of the game because I just kept thinking of this. Is this, Anyway. It's a charming game. That aside, it's clearly made by one guy and drawn, I think, by his wife, from what I can gather. Oh, that's sweet. As soon as I saw it running, I was like, I want to play that game. So if you like scrolling shooters, you will get some enjoyment out of it. It looks lovely, and it's only £2. It's £2 on the App Store, and it's £2 on 3DS. I plumped for the 3DS one. Right. Yeah, it's 46 minutes to complete, but there is replay value there. So my reservations are a little bit weird, and I may be bang wrong about them, but I don't know. I like the game, that aside.
All right. Gunman Clive.
Gunman Clive, yeah.
I'll check that advert out anyway, see.
I tweeted it a few days ago. I was just like, I like this guy already. He's like, here's this. Cuttingly sarcastic about his own game. And I was like, that's quite nice.
Yeah. That does sound good. My number 4 is DMC Devil May Cry. Almost finished my hard run now, and I've been kind of following the game because I feel sometimes you kind of get behind a game anyway when you get to play it early and you like it and love it. In fact, and this game in particular, because of all the hate and all the negativity, I feel kind of a sort of bond with it a little bit because I feel like I need to defend it, even not actually. I've written my review; it's out there, so that is the defence. But I can't understand now what people's problem is, because I keep reading and people are still slating the combat system and all this sort of stuff. And I just think most of the time they're easy to ignore, but some people go into specifics, like they say stuff like you can't like cancel your moves into an evade and things like that. That's like classic DMC, and you have to wait for the animation loop to finish. And I read that and I was like, really? I'm pretty sure you can. So I went back, put on the game, and I was like, no, you can. There are a couple of moves where the animation has to finish with the devil moves, but most of the time you cancel into an evade. And so you're just fundamentally wrong. And then his comments like influencing all these other people going, blah, 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 Ninja Theory don't get it. And it's just so frustrating to read, because had the name Ninja Theory never been on this and there'd been no marketing behind the fact they'd done it and Dante still had white hair, but it was exactly the same game apart from that, and people just thought it came from Capcom, people would be fucking raving about it. And it does my head in, because near the end of my hard playthrough, my Nephilim playthrough, I just think the game is still fucking incredible. Even more so, in fact. And I'm super excited to go back through it again, leveled up. I can see this being the game that I play the most out of all games, because I never replay games, and I'm already almost through it twice, and I still don't feel like I scratched the surface.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to it yet, but it's sitting on the top. I don't know why you get involved in those conversations, man.
No, I'm not getting involved in the conversation. I'm just reading them.
Don't even read them.
I don't know why. Sometimes you ever get the feeling you just want to annoy yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I do get that, yeah.
Yeah, it's that. I'm not. I gave up on internet forums many years ago, and I wouldn't get involved. Like I say, I've written the review, I've talked about it loads. My opinions are out there, but it's frustrating. I'm glad it got to number one. And apparently, it's just got to number one in Japan as well. So there's talk that it didn't sell as much as DMC4, but all that stuff is irrelevant. It seems to be doing well, and I'm very happy about that fact. Because it's fucking amazing. Once you get the Aquila weapon, the second angel weapon, that's like the spinning shurikens that you can throw out and they lock onto people, the fucking combat system just comes alive. And the stuff I was doing to get the double, and people say it's easy to get the S ranks, and it's like, to get the triple S ranks is not fucking easy at all on Nephilim, and you'd have to be some sort of savant to be able to just do that without trying, because it's fucking hard, especially towards the second half of the game. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's fucking superb.
I completely agree with you, but bear in mind that the people that are probably saying, it's too easy to get triple S ranks have almost certainly never played it.
Well, yes, yeah.
I haven't gone back to it. It's sat on my shelf. I'm waiting. I'm really hoping that this weekend, or rather Monday, possibly Tuesday, I just want to get snowed in, and then I'm going to sit back and just fucking cane through it on hard, because it is a tremendous. It's a tremendous game. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't make the cut at my favourite 10 games of the year, because it's so good.
A nice backtrack there on getting snowed in this weekend as well.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. John's getting married.
Yeah, getting married this weekend.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's not going to stop me playing DMC to the end this week, I don't think, for the second time.
Yeah, well, yeah, good call. Okay, my number 3, again, is not really a game. Well, it is a game. It's called Guess the Movie, and it's another iOS app.
What's this about then?
Yeah, I think it's number 1 or number 2 in the App Store, free games. And
I think I saw it when I just looked for that football game.
Yeah, so it's surprisingly generous. There's a lot of content there. It's just they present you with an image and you just guess the movie, and that's it.
Sweet.
That's my. Earlier on, I said Vid Rhythm at first. I was like, this is probably my favourite app of all time. This is probably my favourite app of all time, because if I could just sit in an endless movie quiz, I'd probably just do that. It's literally, it's just hundreds and hundreds of images, and some of them are a little bit. It's a real mixture. Basically, some of them are just like the posters of the movie. Redone in this kind of cool sort of art style. It's a very nice looking package for something that's free. So yeah, like I say, sometimes it's posters, so everyone go, it's that. Sometimes it's iconic bits of the film that you need to have seen it. And then occasionally, there's Edward Scissorhands. The picture is just Johnny Depp's face. So there's some really weird. There are some really odd choices. An image of a bird cage with a little budgie in it, a small bird. What film's that?
The Birdcage.
That's what I thought. No, it's The Prestige.
Oh, okay.
So, and then there's another image of a jar with something leaking out the top of it. What's that?
Jam leak.
No, it was Prometheus. But some of them are just they're a little bit ski-whiff, but it's so generous with the tokens that you can use to solve the puzzles. You can either get a clue or you can solve it's like an anagram, not an anagram. So it comes across like a hangman clue.
Okay.
Or you can just solve it with five tip points. But every time you log in, you've just won 10 tip points. If you get 3 in a row, regardless of how many times you get an extra 3 tips. You're constantly earning tips. So
tip points.
TIP.
Points. Right.
Tip points, yeah, just so that you can sort of basically get the solution quickly. But I love it. Although, if you haven't seen the Shawshank Redemption, the image for the Shawshank Redemption is a spoiler. It's a spoiler for the entire end of the Shawshank Redemption.
Shit.
I just thought I'd mention that. That was a random. I was like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Although, if you haven't seen that film and you're playing a movie quiz, you got probs.
So they show that Morgan Freeman never existed the whole time.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm gonna get that though. That sounds fun as fuck.
It's fun. I mean, I just sitting in bed hungover. I'm just like, I'm loving this.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna get that.
Right.
Awesome. Some good iOS stuff then. Sweet.
Yes.
My number 3 is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, a game I've after this podcast I think I'm going to finish it. I'm right at the end. I can't talk about it because of embargo, but the demo's out, so I can kind of get around it and be a bit sneaky. It's the fucking combat is great. I like the fact it's so aggressive that it doesn't feel like the other combat games that have been done so well. It doesn't feel like Bayonetta and it doesn't feel like DMC. I mean, it does to someone who doesn't play this genre, I'm sure, but to people who are kind of inside the genre a bit more, the fact that it's all attack, and the parries are all going forward. You can play all this in the demo. I'm not spoiling anything from the main game. It's already shaping up to be a fucking great year for this genre. I won't say any more than that for fear of getting in trouble.
When's it out?
February, sometime in February. I'm going to say 20th. Always got the good information on Chet and Johns.
That game can't fail, and I'm just that's proper. If I was to give that too much thought, it would affect my sleeping pattern because I honestly can't wait for the demo. Was great. Is the demo the same one that came with?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same one.
Zone of the Enders. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Play that because it's.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
If you are and you're thinking I don't get this, why can't I roll or anything like that? You have to hit square or X on Xbox and towards to parry as you're being hit, and then suddenly the whole game will make sense. Took me a while to work that out at first when I first played the demo.
Yeah, if you get but there's a boss battle halfway through. Is it halfway through or is it actually at the end?
It's at the end of the demo, yeah.
That's where I was just like, what the... I was honestly so mental thinking that the game was just broken. But yeah, it is. It's literally pressing the button because the button prompt's there, but I think didn't it just say that you just press the button or something like that?
It made it seem like you click the stick.
That's right.
The demo back then. That's not in the... They don't use that graphic anymore in the final game.
Okay, good. That wise move.
Yeah.
So you just move press the thumbstick towards the enemy and press the button as it's
sort of at the same time, and it's reasonably generous with the window that allows you to do it. But if you nail the timing, you can counter attack really nicely. But it's all the purposes is not about lateral movement like most of these games are. It's just straight lines, attack. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I cannot wait. Okay, my number 2 is Battlefield 3. I won't.
Batters.
Say that again?
Back on batters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Battlefield 3 so much. It's kind of a melancholy experience at the moment because all of my friends are steadily moving away from it and are less eager to play it. So I'm kind of... A lot of time recently I've played it on my own, which is a bit of a shame. But then we do... I mean, it's getting to the point in that game's life where it's gone on so long... that we're getting pitted against. I mean, we played the game. I think I've played Battlefield way too much, and I'm only a rank 34 or something. So we constantly playing against teams who are almost all of them are rank 100. I can't even fathom over. I don't understand how anyone's got that much time. But playing against them can be a bit galling because they're just too good. So a lot of my friends are steadily sort of backing away from Battlefield, which is terrible because I'm like, don't leave me here on my own. But
Yeah, that's kind of the times that I played it recently. That's kind of what happened to me. I'm not even anywhere near your level, not even a tenth of it probably, and the opposition was just too strong. So it just felt like it wasn't for me anymore. It's not really the game's fault. It's just the way it went.
Yeah.
Where these things happen.
Yeah, it's a damn shame though. But I still, the new maps, as I said, fantastic. I still love it.
Yeah, shouldn't be long till Battlefield 4.
Can't wait.
My number 2 is Retro City Rampage. I talked about it very briefly last week. I did it for a review, so I've played the absolute shit out of it. It's you know what it is, right?
Only really what you've said about it in the past. So, but just that much.
Okay, so at its fundamental, it's like an 8-bit styled GTA clone, old school top-down GTA, but done in 8-bit graphics instead of 16-bit graphics. But the point of the game is it calls itself a parody straight away, and it's just relentless references to the 80s and a bit to the 90s, gaming and movie culture, constant. For the first 2 hours, the fucking pace of the gags and the references is so fast that it's almost impossible to take them all in for one, and it almost becomes its own aesthetic. And I was like, this is fucking wicked. Just gag, 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 gag. Honestly, constantly. Every mission was like 10 different gags, all pulled from different places. But eventually, it starts to fall back on doing two things which annoy me. It eventually just becomes the game that it's pretending to parody. Just, it says stuff like, oh, it's, this is one of those ones where we like to get you to do menial shit and go and collect stuff for us for no reason, ha ha ha, but all you're doing is just going around collecting stuff for no reason. And stuff like, oh, aren't escort missions and missions where you tail other people in the car, they're fun, aren't they? And then you just have to do it. And that's like all the gags that Simpsons game's used when that came out a few years ago. And it's just, and that's not really funny if you're just making me do it. You're just pointing to the fact that it's shit. And also the gags and references slow down a lot to about one per mission.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's still really cool. I'd still recommend it to anybody of our age. I think if you're probably under 25, the whole thing, almost all of it will be lost on you, apart from the really obvious stuff like Back to the Future and stuff you'd have seen and played. But all the really subtle, small stuff will be lost on you. But the game's still quite fun. But for people of sort of our age, early 30s and a bit older, there's enough gags and laugh and kind of like nostalgic stuff in there to make it worth playing. It's a bit frustrating at times. The gameplay is very simple. It's stuff you've done before. There's a cover system, weirdly, but you don't really use it. So I think I gave it 78, which means it's good, but there are problems, and it does sort of fall flat a bit too often as it keeps going.
Is it worth the asking price then?
I can't remember what the asking price is now. It's sort of
isn't it 800 points or whatever the equivalent? What is the equivalent of 800 point game on PSN?
$7.99.
Oh, fair play. Okay, so
it probably is. It probably is. It's very nice on Vita. That seemed like a really good fit for it. It probably is. I mean, that whole pricing model is kind of screwed now, because you think about the amount of games you can get for free or for 69p, but in actual fact that still isn't very much money for what is. I mean, you cannot fault the guy's passion and how lovingly created it is. He's set out to do something and he's fucking gone overboard. He must have worked himself to the bone to get this made, and it does play nicely, and there's some cracking chip tunes, and there's a lot of love. It's made with a lot of love, and I do have a lot of time for it, but it does start to wear a little thin after a while.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that, but still, it sounds interesting enough to pick up, and I've got to remember to do it at some point. So I will at least do the trial probably this week. Okay, my number 1 is Anarchy Reigns on the Xbox 360. Have you played it yet?
It's my number 1 as well. So
fair play. What do you reckon?
All right. Well, yeah, it's very cool. I agree with a hell of a lot of what you said last week about it not being Platinum's most polished piece. I mean, fuck no, it isn't. It's sketchy at best. It feels cheap, but it is cheap. So that wasn't a problem. But I also completely agree with when you said there was a real meatiness and satisfaction to the combat when you're hitting people. Yeah. And they really do nail that feeling. There's kind of a God Hand feel to it. It's not as refined or difficult or skillfully made as God Hand, but God Hand is a fucking ropey ass game in so many ways, like the backgrounds and everything, and it does remind me of that in a lot of ways. But I do like it. It's a
funny one. As I predicted last week when I spoke about it, I had a feeling that it was going to grow on me quite a lot, and it has. It's pretty much twice the game I thought it was, although at the same time still being the same thing. It's so uncomplicated that you cannot play it for prolonged periods, but the power of just, like I said last week, steaming into a band of guys and just instantly cutting all their heads off. It's so appealing, and it doesn't get any. I like the fact that it doesn't really get needlessly complicated. If you find a boss, apart from a couple of the Kraken bosses, which are a little bit more elaborate, the solution's always the same: run at their feet and just hammer a load of punches at them. I love the fact that it's completely unsophisticated like that. But yeah, doing it in bunches, it's not a game I could ever see myself playing for a very long time. It's something that I do. I put it in, and I play 3 or 6, each sort of bunch of levels, which is 3 normal missions, 3 side missions, and then I turn it off. Every time I turn it on, though, I'm just like, I'm so glad I decided to turn this on. So much fun.
Yeah, definitely. At first I was like, oh, I don't like this at all, because obviously you have to grind in between each mission to open up the next mission. You have to get a certain amount of points. But after a while, I just realised that was how the game was structured, and I kind of accepted how cheap it felt. And it doesn't matter how cheap it feels, because they do nail that core mechanic. Yeah. But honestly, I must have played it exactly the same way as you. Turned it off after every overall level. Thought I'm kind of done, and then about half an hour later, just sort of thinking about it and thinking, I just kind of want a bit more of that fucking crunchiness. Yeah, stuck it back on. And then, did you play much multi?
I've done bits, and I've dipped in and out. It's why have you had like a really bad experience on it?
Well, it's hard to get a game because there's not many people on there, but you can get a game. Unfortunately, I think because the game's been out so long in Japan and people must have imported it, almost everyone I played was at a really, really high level, and they just fucking kick your ass. So while I like the game modes, the capture the flag was really fun, even the deathmatch was fun, or the tag team stuff, I was just getting my ass kicked so heavily that it kind of made me want to go and play God of War again, because they're similar. They are very similar in how they work, just brawling, and the capture the flag on top of that. But I think God of War is going to be a better online game. But I'd like to play it with a bunch of people that we just knew that were on the same level. I think that could be good fun.
Yeah, it's a game that I knew. I don't think you can. If you go into a game wanting to win, as I said before, I couldn't deal with the stress, because it is so haphazard mental that I wouldn't want to be concerned with trying to win. I got a lot of a kick. Capture the flag. It's just hilarious chaos, and I loved the way that was. But with regards to death matches, a bit too fucking stressful for me. But with regards to, how much of the campaign have you done?
I've done almost all of the white side, none of the dark side.
Okay. It's very straightforward, but it is very enjoyable. My only problem with it, really, well, I've got 2 problems. First of all, there's no scores. There's no campaign scores, so you and I can't compare our scores, which seems crazy. I know there's no elaborate. It's not like Devil May Cry where there's elaborate. You can build amazing scores. I think if we actually, thinking about it, if there was a campaign score page, I think everyone's scores would be broadly the same, because there's not many ways to get massive multipliers and stuff like that. But aside from that, the cutscenes, I love the fact. I love platinum games because they are just a little bit mental, and I love the random tangents it goes on. It's a crackpot game, but some of the cutscenes really do go on. They're really prolonged. I'm just like, the fact that you're given no opportunity at any point to skip any of them, just like, I don't, most of them I'll watch, but sometimes you're just itching to get in and they're going on, and you're like, I should be given the option to fucking skip them in this day and age, god damn it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the story's like the fact that they're actually trying to make a story out of a game where you can just be playing and then planes will come and drop bombs on you, or a fucking weird spiked vehicle will just drive off a building out of nowhere, and it looks like it's been made in Minecraft. But the fact they're trying to tell this quite serious story to it, I almost admire them for it, because they're so batshit. But I don't really understand why this game got made or why it exists. To be honest,
it's a very fucking peculiar specimen.
They had like a 3-game deal with Sega, and they made 2 world-class games, and they just had a bunch of like when the band releases the greatest hits to get out of their contract, they just had like a bunch of scrap.
Yeah, maybe.
We could just we could put this together. We've got this guy from this game, and the other guy is basically Sam from Vanquish, but without a gun.
Yeah.
And this guy, we've already made these models. Let's just stick them all in the game, and let fucking Dave do the combat and get it out there.
Yeah, that's. If it's culminated that's actually how the game originated, I would not be fucking surprised. But I don't want to undersell it, and I don't want to undersell its value for £20. I mean, it's worth £20, no question.
And you can get it for already £12. I saw it for.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good, crunchy fun. But another thing it made me want to do is go back to God Hand, a game I never finished. So I'm going to go and pick that up on PSN, because that is a fucking meister.
How much is that on PSN?
It's about £6-7.
Fair play.
Get any better than that?
Yeah, that sounds like a bargs. Okay, all right. Well, that's us done for another week. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, the usual spiel about Twitter, Facebook. Check the site out. Check our YouTube channel out. We're going to be updating that as often as we can with new high definition videos of sorts of random shizzle. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, bye. It's Chet and John on YouTube, by the way. Go like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and appreciate it. Peace.
Chowser.
The goal of each challenge will be to get my number and to make a new friend. If you say things I want to hear, you'll get my number. If you say things I don't want to hear, I'll blow you off and you'll be forced back to try again. Okay, let's get to it. I'll see you in the game. Hey, how's it going? Good? That's the best you can do?